So I'm with DDI Media, located in St. Louis, Missouri, primarily Missouri and Illinois. We have 1,200 static faces and 23 digital faces.
My name is Jim Moravec, Stott Outdoor Advertising. Our home office is located in Chico, California. We operate posters, junior posters, and a whole lot of bulletins up and down the state of California and northern Nevada, as well as operating, we're active in 11 transit markets, shelters, and buses.
My name's Pudge Roberts with Coastal Outdoor, housed in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. We're on the coast of North Carolina, South Carolina, and have 825 static faces and 27 digitals.
Thank you. I get a really nice, comfortable seat up here. This is really nice, but I feel like I need a child's chair. I mean, I'm just looking up to these guys. I'm sitting way so low. So,
If we still had yellow pages, we'd give you a yellow page.
I might deal with the yellow pages. How does the convention so far going for you guys? It's one good, great day. I thought one of the last ones was fantastic when they put all the numbers up there about 100% sales over a year. I thought it was fantastic numbers. I personally don't understand why sometimes that isn't good enough for advertisers, for agencies, for clients to put more money into our industry. But do you see the same type, from your perspective, from your markets, when somebody puts money into outdoor advertising, I'm hoping similar positive numbers, data, sales that come from that? Do they reinvest money in the out-of-home at the local level?
Yeah, I would say, the key is it's fairly infrequent that they share that data with us, unfortunately.
Do they? 50-50 or?
Oh no, maybe 10% of the time they'll actually share with you the results that they experience from their campaign, which makes it then hard to reinforce with them why they should invest more because they're not sharing the data of the success of their campaign.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah, when people don't renew, when people don't continue using outdoor, it's generally due to bad creative. So it's a little bit what did they do wrong? What did we do wrong? Typically we get people engaged with the medium and they continue using the medium.
Yeah, in our market, it's we're a little different. We've got 18 million tourists that's in our market, and we're a heavy outdoor market. And so we do have some of our larger users that do share data and returns, not as much as we'd like to see. So, but they trying to control rate. They share a little bit that they want to continue, but not too much that you're going to drive rate off.
But from my own personal perspective, at the agency at Starcom, we get a lot of, the client teams get a lot of data back in sales. Sometimes I'm flustered as well why we don't reinvest more money. One of the things I always get hit with is the modeling mix, and I know the industry is trying to tackle that because we're a local medium. They always throw it into a national metrics and methodology, and so we're really trying to make some changes for the major advertisers. So I'm hoping that maybe if we start changing some of this data, we might have better information to tell our clients to keep the money with and out of home. So I have to ask the question that's the most obvious is geopath numbers. Quite a bit of an improvement from even when I was chairman at the TAB. From your stand, from your local markets, from your local advertisers, do they request geopath numbers? How do you use geopath numbers? Or do you still have some clients who just say, I want that sign because it's a block down from my store? Maybe we'll start the other way.
Yeah, it's a mix for us. I mean, for years, it was the TAB numbers and the DEC counts, but today, with the language and the impressions, we're starting to educate the clients more, and so we're starting to see that movement towards. We still have our traditional guy that goes, I go by that sign, 10 other people go by that sign. I know it's a good sign for me, but if you can supply the analytics that go with it and say, you may think that's a great one, but we've got one that delivers more. We're getting excited about that. I think with the transient mobile America as we see it, or mobile South Carolina, we're seeing a lot of movement to that. So we're excited about where it's going.
Now, I don't want to embarrass any of you, but no more DEC, no more showing talk, right?
No.
All right, that's good.
We're past that.
Thank God. something back down here to hit you with if you still use those words. Okay, that's great.
We find the geopath data to be quite useful, reach and frequency information. We really view it as supporting data. The majority of the advertisers that we do business with are going to be 80+% local. You know, we'll say 80-20. I don't really think it is typically. It might be 85-15. So in selling the local businesses, the local car dealership, the furniture stores, et cetera, the reach and frequency information is good supporting data, but really as a sales organization, what we need to be able to do is sell ideas, sell campaigns, and sell the creative. And that's the name of the game for us. And then the reach and frequency information, the numbers are supporting that.
And before I get to you to answer your question, Vince, do you also, are they sophisticated? Do they want these numbers? Are they, wow, I didn't see this before, I never got this before, this could really help me with my business, could help ultimately sales? That's at the agency again, at Starcom, it's sales. I mean, we tell clients, you know, brand awareness and all that stuff. It's kind of out the window. What are you doing for me? Did you create sales? That's what our clients want. So are they happy so they're that sophisticated that they're relishing in this new data that we're getting from geopath?
Well, I think there's quite a diversity among the clients that some relish it, some are anxious to see it, they're anxious to learn, but a large portion of our local direct client base, I mean, their whole business philosophy is typically location, location, location. Where they place their business, why they're where they're at, and they're the same way with their billboard program. You know, they know the market as well as I know the market, and they know where they draw customers from and where their best prospects are.
And I was going to challenge you on that. Do they really know where their customers are coming from? Because how are they getting that data? Because now we can collect this mobile data and a lot of this other data that, you know, one of the things I hate at the agency is when I see a brick and mortar, and I got some of you folks come in with the circles drawn around it. And I'm just like, that's not where the audience is. If you want to try to pull in for the next 10 minutes or 20 minutes, okay, that's fine if it's a worm on the hook and you're trying to bring in the customers. But some of these customers, when you do some of this data and some of this information, you're finding that the pockets are really living 10 miles away over whatever, and they're really coming from this area. So maybe this whole circles around the brick and mortar isn't necessarily where we should be putting our ads, but we should be putting our ads where maybe they live, or if they're socializing and they're partying and that's what your product is, it should be in the downtown nightlife area. So there's, the placement isn't just always where the brick and mortar is, trying to get a little bit more sophistication, where are they coming from, and what's the call to action? Are you trying to get them in the decision-making process, or are you trying to get them at the point of sale to bring them in, or is this when they're deciding? I don't think any billboard, I'll stand corrected if you want it, but I don't think any car billboard sold a car, but it certainly probably helped them make decisions about what type of car to make, because that's a longer decision-making process. From the local level, politics, taxes, all the regulations that you have, are they different than some of the big guys? At the local level, do you have to deal with taxes different, OSHA different, or is the makeup internally that a lot of buyers don't see different from your side?
I think, you know, like in St. Louis where I'm competing with Outfront, we face the exact same regulation and regulatory environment. But, you know, the challenge that we see in a market like St. Louis City and St. Louis County went through a divorce in the Civil War. So St. Louis City is the only city in the state not within a county. And then within St. Louis County, there are 90-some incorporated municipalities. So just in St. Louis City and St. Louis County, we have 92 different jurisdictions with 92 different sign codes and 92 different revenue collection offices.
Now,
So that's an equal challenge for
Is
everyone
it
in
getting
the market.
tougher, or is it getting easier, or are you working with municipalities to get over some of these hurdles?
I think it's a continuous, challenging environment, and I don't see much lessening in regulation or taxation.
no, and I would say the regulation, taxation, that is where our interests and the major companies' interests all run a parallel path. State associations, I mean, we're in there elbow to elbow, advocating for our interests with Lamar, Outfront, and Clear Channel.
So I'll use Nancy's word today, collaboration. Do you collaborate a lot with your competitors? I know you, at the end of the day, you compete with them.
In
but
the
do you
area,
collaborate to
in the area
hopefully-
of regulation and taxation, we absolutely collaborate.
That's great.
Yeah, and from an association standpoint, I know we try to put self-agendas out, which is hard at times because we all have budgets, we all have responsibilities to our shareholders and owners. But you try to separate that, and you try to come to a collaborative effort to say what is best for the industry. And we've done pretty good at it. There's time it gets off track, but I think as a whole, if it benefits us all as a group, as a unified front, then it's good for everybody. Which is sometimes it's difficult to get there, but we get there. It
Right.
seems like we kind of work together with that.
Are you all still in a building phase? Have you built new signs, taking down some old, and put up maybe in new areas of town? And along the same line, along with your competitors, how do you fight? How do your real estate guys go and secure that location that they want? How are you beating your competitors to the punch? And they have a big team. They have big real estate folks. They have big legal folks, and they're going to try to muscle you guys out of some locations within your markets. How do you compete at those levels? How do you keep your salespeople?
Is it back to me?
I'll
It's,
stick with you.
I think for us, we're in a competitive situation always for sites and locations. And I think what we do is we look at it from 3 or 5 or 10-year plan and see what's relevant today and what may be a location today that would be a premium or so-called premium. We can look at that and say what's the value of that, but then we may look at something that said, a 5-year or a 10-year development plan. We know there's migrations, there's trends with what we look at for data and for people moving into the area of what development areas are going to look like in 5 to 10 years. So, we look at that and try to build a plan towards that. So I think it's, we look at where people live, work, play, and purchase, and we kind of build our digital network around that, and it's been very effective.
Mm-hmm. Digital billboards, guys?
Yeah.
I have my blip pen on.
We've got some digital
So-
billboards.
Digital's working out. Are you building more, or?
Yeah, I'm actually
Are
putting one
you-
up today. Hard at work while I'm
Hard
sitting here on
work.
stage.
Excellent.
Hey.
Excellent.
No mud on your shoes.
Fortunately, I can't get power to it for 7 days, but that's another story. Utility issue.
Is it tough within your markets? Do you have a lot of legislation against digital?
It varies, but like the one I'm putting up today is actually a 30-year-old structure that we decided it was a good candidate for digital conversion. We were entering a new ground lease with the landowner. Went to the city because we really wanted to rebuild the structure to accommodate the digital instead of trying to modify a 30-year-old structure. My real estate rep worked it for about 2.5, 3 years. And she got 6 variances, which is a record
Wow.
for us.
Is that normal, or is that a lot?
That's well, it's a lot to get. Lucky, well, usually if you get 1 or 2, you're pretty lucky.
Yeah.
But she went 6 for 6,
Wow.
and we were at the hearing, and actually, a neighboring landowner stood up to object right before they took the vote, and one of the members of the Board of Adjustment asked the guy where his property was, and he described his property being north of where our billboard was located. And the city administrator pointed out to them that his property was actually outside of the city boundaries. And so all of a sudden, the Board of Adjustment like, oh, we're all in favor of
He
it.
doesn't count.
No vote.
I believe the receptivity to digital out of home, though, is it's becoming a better environment.
Yes.
It's moving slowly, but I think there's some old thinking involved in city councils and city government that as they move along and the younger group of people comes in, I mean, a 25 or a 30-year-old, you talk to them and oftentimes, why wouldn't you have a digital screen? Everything else they look at all day long, their entire lives has been on a
Right.
digital screen. Why wouldn't that be the case with this outdoor display? So I think over time, the barriers are going to continue to come down.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Yeah.
And I think the collaboration
Yeah.
at the local level is key. You know, all the outdoor companies operate in the St. Louis market cooperatively support Crime Stoppers. And
Right.
when they want to put up a wanted design on everyone's digitals, we take turns who does the creative, get it approved by Crime Stoppers, and then we send it out. And whoever has available space posts it. And it's a great partnership between the industry, and we've gotten dividends as a market. All the operators have gotten dividends because the local governments see that we're playing a role in being part of a solution.
We've done that as well with ours.
Yep.
We've got hurricane evacuation.
Yep.
We allow that to be taken over for directional,
Right.
for the emergency management. So I think they see it as a benefit. We've been able to work with cities and collaborate with them on promoting events and activities. So the barriers are coming down a little bit. I
Yeah.
think it's more receptive. We're more reactive to community needs. So I think it's been beneficial to see it as as an asset as opposed to.
So I'm a big-time lobbyist, big state lobbyist, and I'm a big federal lobbyist. So I'm going to grant you each.
Not really, this is just pretend, right?
Yeah, right. They don't have me in their hip pocket yet. So I'm going to grant you, what one law do you want me to change to help it a little bit easier for your business? What do you need?
I would take real estate tax relief.
Real estate tax relief?
Yes.
Good.
That's a bigger issue than billboard regulation.
Wow. Gosh,
He's a
Jack,
money guy, though.
That's that's coming from the CPA.
That's the CPA. That's the CPA coming out of.
You know, that's a great question. I would have to pass to Pudge on that one.
Yeah, I think for us, for modernization, I mean, I think,
Yeah.
you know, from a standpoint, we're looking at digital right now, and that's been fantastic for the industry, for the immediacy standpoint and messaging. But with technological advances and what's coming, I think being allowed to modernize your unit, your structure, your location, or whatever that may be, for what we're not seeing 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, I think that's a key factor for us.
Yeah,
Same.
in many instances, just to chime in after passing to Pudge, I'll take it back real quick. I would say that's huge. I mean, we've got a lot of wooden structures. In fact, we're working on a
You still have
transaction.
wood structures?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
In
You
fact,
can't convert.
today I'm exchanging emails with one of our representatives that's out buying a wooden structure leading into the major metro of Susanville, California. So to be able to convert those wooden structures to steel, upgrade, improve, would be nice.
Now I'm going to take the same question and flip it a little bit differently. That was for the government. What would your one big ask be of either Geopath or the OAAA to help you conduct your business more profitably?
Why?
And they're not here, don't worry about it. You can say whatever you want.
Well, I would say, you know, I'm anxious and excited about the new measurement system and implementation of it, and how we do that, not only as an individual plant, but as an industry, is going to greatly determine whether or not it's accepted and it creates value for us. And if we don't do a good job of rolling it out, educating all of our sales teams to use the information properly and to be able to educate clients, we run the risk of failing. And I don't think we can afford to fail. So how we execute this is critical, and it's execution by all companies, not the large companies or here and there. We all have to do a good job of execution.
Yeah. I would say from Geopath, I'm excited about the Insight Suite that's coming out. The richness of the data that's going to be available is going to be very helpful to expand our advertisers. From OAAA, the services they provide and to support sales, et cetera, is tremendous. However, it's to protect and to preserve the assets that we own. That's the name of the game for the OAAA in my mind.
I see so many good things coming out of the OAAA. They've been very supportive as far as return on investments and studies and things like that. You know, I look at our industry to where we have, I won't say older management, but I would say from a young technology standpoint.
He's not talking to me, is he?
I'm not talking. I wasn't looking at you. I wasn't looking at you. I was looking in that direction. But I just think for bringing younger people on and understanding from, you know, from a core standpoint of what we're going through as an industry and transitioning, that there is a home and a value and a movement for us that we're educating them. And I think from a Geopath standpoint, the behavioral analytics with what's going on and what our buyers are doing and where they're coming from and are they spending, are they engaging, and how long dwell times. I mean, it's just, I'm excited. I'm very excited with where it's going and look forward to coming back in a year and saying, wow.
So there's a couple, I think, next to me, I can't remember which side, but they're talking programmatic. Are you guys prepared to, are you ready to incorporate programmatic buying of certainly your digital? I only get to spend at Starcom what's given to me in my out-of-home budgets. My out-of-home budget, it's deemed from the client teams that they want certain billboards, certain placements within certain markets. The programmatic folks, and you heard earlier today, there was 40-something, 50% of the budgets now. TV was reported that they're basically in a recession about TV buying. I would love for this industry to tap into digital budgets. They won't be probably mine unless I'm like this with programmatic folks at Starcom. Right now we're not, we're hedging towards that, but we may not, and that's okay. So I'm still gonna be tapping into out-of-home budgets, but y'all should be tapping into programmatic money as well in audiences. And quite frankly, lots of times I think those audiences should be asterisked because you have something more than just the online folks can deliver. You have where they're delivered. Most of theirs is going to be inside the home. Yours are going to be at the point of decision making or where the sales are made. So are you ready or prepared, because some of your competitors out here are rolling up their sleeves, coming up with platforms, and tying into a lot of agencies and buying?
Well, I think that is one of the challenges for independents is most of us lack internal technology capabilities. And so finding the strategic partners that can help
They're
us.
out there, the strategic
You're right.
partners. You could a lot of these guys are building it. You could
Right.
tap into, leapfrog over building
And
it.
finding those key partners and establishing those relationships and getting the knowledge to automate the sales process. If we don't change and we continue to do things the way we're doing them today, 5 years from now we're going to be a dinosaur. So we have to find those partners that are the right partner for each of our individual operations and get that capability to change the way we sell.
Wow. I would say, in short answer, I would say no, we're not ready for that. But I also find that I don't believe on the, what I see on the buy side, I don't think they're ready for it either. We're pretty much, the national and regional agencies that we do business with, it's still pretty much phone calls, email, you know, the back and forth. I don't sense a lot of pressure coming from them to, Jim, next week, we're going to be doing this programmatically. Could be wrong. They'll surprise me with a phone call tomorrow, maybe.
Yep.
I mean, we're open to it. I think we see the transition where it's going. You know, you always keep in the back of your mind, is it going to cannibalize, you know, your current market, your current market share, but is it coming from areas that you wouldn't touch anyway? And I think, you know, Vince had said it earlier, you know, with Blip, with what he's seeing some other things come out.
And I know you're telling me to wrap it up. I'm going to just a real quickie. Creative agencies, 1 to 5, 5 being great. You like the creative on the outdoor? 5 is great. Just a number.
I'll give it a 4.
Now, what is the question?
5 is great. Creative on outdoor. You like it, don't like
Coming
it.
from all sources?
Whatever.
4.
4.
We're getting there, probably 4, yeah, 3.5, 4.
Media buying agencies. Like them or don't you like them?
I like
I'm here.
I like anybody who's spending money with me.
Okay, well, sometimes you complain about us, but that's okay. Good answer. All right.
Wait, certainly.
I like them. Anybody that brings us revenue, but I like seeing those folks
Sure you love
earn
the
their
money.
money.
Yeah, we all do.
Money's good. It can be difficult at times.
And you sell mostly to clients direct or agencies?
We're more direct, 85% direct.
Mostly direct to clients?
Yeah.
To clients?
Definitely
To
direct.
clients.
Yeah, majority.
Interesting. Now we're ready to take some questions from the audience, please.
For video purposes, please wait for me to come over with the microphone for questions.
Yeah.
There was a big focus a couple years ago about using your signs to generate communications income by leasing the signs out. We were all going to be leasing our signs out to telecom providers and whatnot, and that seems to just have gone nowhere. From an independent point of view, is anything happening with you guys using your signs to lease out to telecom providers?
I have 8 or 10 locations that have cellular or communication antennas on them. None of them are new deals. They're all 15 years old or greater. There has, at least in my market, there's been no great rollout of additional installations.
No.
We've seen some inquiries, but nothing, no fruition of any of it.
Would you ever partner up with anybody else for sales? Any of your competitors? Any competitors not in your market? Any newspaper? Or do you want to control your sales?
I have strategic alliances with other media platforms in my
Okay.
market.
I got the mic over here. I'm not trying to interrupt. Just want to let you know whenever you're ready.
Please, to go to that question, I mean, at our core, we're a sales organization. That's what we do. We believe we can sell our assets better than anybody else can for higher dollars. Would we ever consider partnering up with somebody else? Only if we could see the potential for greater revenue.
Yeah, I think for us is our belief in our conversation and the belief in the product. Somebody would have to be aligned pretty strategically with us, even though the dollar's a dollar. I think the intrinsic value of where we're going and where we're going as an industry would have to be aligned.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Steve. We're from Michigan, and it's good to hear from some independents. A lot of independents in the room, and I like the healthy and positive competition we have with our national competitors. There's enough room in the space for everybody. I don't have any bad blood there. We have some good relationships as well. I have 2 questions. I'd love to hear from all of you. I know it doesn't have to take a long time, but am I the only one that has issues with vegetation and trees and things like that? I'd love to hear what you have, because when you mentioned if there's one law you could change, I've got some digital sites ready to go, and the vegetation is sacred, hollowed ground in some cases. So I'd love if you could just talk. We have positive relationships with our DOT too. I'm not here to slam anybody. There's a lot of positive individuals that we work with, but sometimes in a system. Just want to know any troubles you've had there. And then the second piece is just a quick question on GeoPath, because I just want to know if I'm the only person asking this question, in which case I'll learn from that. We like some of the things they're doing, a lot of the things that they're doing. We like the richness of the data, complementary things there. I see them as allies. But one of the things we brought up to them was when it comes to digital billboards and occupancy levels. So we have some boards that if we're turning 2 or we're turning 3, and the rating that we're given is 8, this is if you're leasing all 8, and you put something out there to a client, and they're looking at the GeoPath numbers, and somebody's got you're turning 2 on a certain board, and they're turning 8. Are we the only person who's thinking about that? And they did mention they're going to try to work on it. But do you have any issue with that when you're giving impression levels, weekly impression levels to an agency or to a client, and you're turning 3 on the board, but you have to quote the same impressions as if you're turning 8? Maybe we're the only people that have thought of that, and not in a sophisticated way. Maybe we're being anal. So if you could just say a word, I'd appreciate it.
Well, first on vegetation, I shared with Nancy yesterday, in the state of Missouri, we actually had something unprecedented happen. We got a new rules passed by the Highway Commission because of, and I really attribute it mostly to the great behavior of all the outdoor companies following their vegetation rules. They changed the regulations and eliminated our distance that we can cut. We had a 450-foot area that we were allowed to cut or trim, and there was a fee structure depending on whether you're cutting or trimming. They've totally eliminated it. Now we can apply to cut as far as we want to cut, and they eliminated the fees. They said, we look at you as a partner to maintain the right-of-way, And the more right-of-way you maintain, the less we have to maintain. And so that just took effect April 30th. So, on digitals and impressions, I'll be the first to admit to be in an event like this and have spent as little time as I've spent in the data on my faces would probably be a little embarrassing to admit. Though I, in preparation for this meeting, spent some time with my sales team, and I did come up with a few questions that we're going to meet with the team at GeoPath on and try to understand why certain units have the ratings that they have. But I think you have to take that time to ask those questions, and that's just part of the process.
The vegetation issue, again, that's an area where the interests of all the companies run parallel paths. I would like to report that we've eliminated the fee structure. In California, to do some trimming on 1448 bulletins, to get the DOT to look at the situation and grant us permission, the check was $3,200. So it's spendy. On the digital side, none of our digitals compete directly with anybody else's digitals, so that really hasn't been a factor for us. But I understand what you're saying, that we're talking in different currencies if one's 3 flips and one's 8 flips.
As far as vegetation, South Carolina has been pretty open. We do well there. North Carolina's a little more stringent on their vegetation. So would I like to have cleaner views and further distance? Absolutely. As far as digital and digital impressions, I think, tying to the availability of that structure, I'm not sure if having the numbers go up based on your occupancy is going to drive a sale higher, because once that sale is done, then it drives your numbers back down. So it would take, and I'm maybe speaking out of turn, but with inventory that you're actually putting in the system, it would have to measure occupancy based on if you've got 8 flips and you're 50% available, your numbers go up. You sell 2 flips, it goes back down. Is that going to help or hurt? So makes sense. It's a good question, but it would be tied to availability. So I'm not sure.
Are most of, oh, go ahead.
Jack, you mentioned that for the independents, there's great options out there to partner with programmatic companies. Do you recommend any programmatic companies
Oh,
that independents can partner with that you feel
there's
are
quite a
in
few
good-
out there.
good spot?
I don't want to go on record as recommending any one of them. That was a good question. But there's quite a few out there that are very good at the programmatic. There are some that I'm suspicious of, but I would recommend that everybody should pursue it and make your own decision on which ones you should, which one works best for your company. But there.
Is that see me at the cocktail hour later?
But I talked to our programmatic group at the agency, and I even talked to the national TV folks, and I said, I try to tell them about maybe putting some of their money, because the TV folks, I thought, well, maybe they want to get into outdoor advertising. I talked to the programmatic folks, and they said, as long as we can make a connection and my folks don't have to stop and shut down their system, go to an outdoor system, okay, I have to work on this one, then I have to work on that one. They want it all to funnel into one system. If they can work on one system and pull programmatic audiences from out of home and from digital on screens, they would do it all day. In fact, I would suspect, I'll suggest that in the next 2-3 years, you're going to have a lot of programmatic buyers at these conventions. The buyers, not the outdoor folks, will be here. I will be outnumbered by programmatic buyers here. Folks from digital will be at the conference a lot more than me and my counterparts. We'll still be here, but the programmatic buyers will be here, and they got a crap load of money, a lot. And like I said before, I think ours should be an asterisk programmatic audience, because we're a little bit more sweetened. We're reaching the consumer where they want to reach the consumer, not on the couch. And they're telling me, that's it. Okay, I thank you very much, and I think we may have the guys, thank you very much for all the information you provided.